Brother Conor, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Now tell me about your story. How did your journey to Islam begin?
Okay, so I'll have to give you a timeline of 8 years, such as the patience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Have you been a Muslim for 8 years?
No, I have to give you the timeline for 8 years.
Okay.
Muslim for 2 years, but the whole process starts 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So in 2012, when you finish university, you have a lot of questions about the world and so forth. So I started to listen to the adhan, YouTube.
From YouTube?
Just YouTube.
Yeah.
And I wanted to hear it. I want to hear it again. I want to hear it again. I don't recall the first time, but I just want to hear it again. That stayed with me for about 5 years. So after I finished university, I went to finance.
Now, when you were hearing it, did you know what it was?
Yeah.
You knew it was a call for prayer?
Yeah. Just wanted to listen to it. That's just it. So finance, I didn't like finance. And then slowly as I went to it, I knew something was wrong. Something felt off inside, in the spirit. So I decided to venture abroad from my native Bahamas. And then in 2017, I went to the Netherlands to do finance again. Here, I'll give you the full truth. This might shock you a bit. Here, I still had the same issue, same problem. I thought a career change might help me, something of that nature. But it didn't, and it got worse. And so, through some mechanism or other, I actually met two shamans. Okay? And so they helped me sort of go into one's own soul or spirit. Avoiding all the issues of ayahuasca, they don't mess with that stuff. But it's just simply accessing your own spirit for someone who's a bit disconnected.
What religion were they?
None. None. But I'll give you the full truth. But they had this practice which they borrowed from Native Americans or so, and they learned. I forget the full details, but they were lovely people. No substances of any kind, but just meditate. Deep meditation, as you will. And then they would sort of take you into another world, as it were. So this is my first brush with the unseen. I always liked magical things and other things like that. As a kid, 3-4 years old, and it stuck with me, but I ignored it, particularly ignored it as you go into the financial world.
Now, as a kid, you grew up what, as a Christian?
Yeah.
Your parents were what, Catholic or Protestant?
Presbyterian.
Presbyterian.
Yeah.
Which is a Protestant sect, isn't it?
Yeah, it's native to Scotland, very native to Scotland, because of my father.
That's where they are originally from.
Oh, the origin story, I don't know. But, every Presbyterian has some links to Scotland. And it's different from other sects because you have like the Elderman tradition. But they weren't following, they're more or less agnostic or secular by all means. And I love them to bits. They still are, mostly, except my sister who is also religious, but as a Christian. So getting back to the timeline, so they helped me go see different kind of worlds. So this is very new, but nothing dangerous. And so I saw below, above. So you start with rough stuff, if you will. We might call underworld in some circles, or perhaps different layers of Jahannam, depending on what you feel. And then you also have different elements of heaven or spirit and so forth like that. So, but what shocked them, and also what shocked me, was that I could see what was going on. I can see what's going on. I was like, oh, that's very interesting. Well, who are you? Why you look so weird? And that sort of got me to really believe that there's something more. That your spirit, my heart, your heart, we're all sort of connected in some one way or another. And that leads me to the main point of that whole brush, is that I got a sense from the end of it, a very clear sense. Conor, find the center of your heart. I said, what? Find the center of your own heart. I said, what does that mean? You figure it out. So there's that kind of humor to it. There's a kind of directive to it. They also choose the words extremely carefully, which also is quite a wonder when you realize the Quran has thousands upon thousands upon thousands. That's straight from God, not just one angel or something else. So I said, okay, I'll do that. I had no idea what I was doing for about 3 years. Fast forward now to 2019 or so, when I decided, okay, I really want to now, after that brush, I trust angels, I believe in angels, I believe in all that stuff, because
now, so far you haven't had any direct contacts with Muslims?
No, I had some good friends in university who are Muslim, but not in the sense of dawah or anything like that. So I decided to join a church, some nature in New York City. And I wanted to sort of get to know God, because I believed in angels, I could tangible in that, but God was still a mystery to me. So I wanted to sort of further that. And I was healing. I was doing something new, changing my career, alhamdulillah. And I wanted to find that real direct connection. So joined a church, but I think I didn't feel quite comfortable. Something didn't sit right again. So one time in this cathedral in New York City, Upper West Side, beautiful place. It's known for its acoustics. And if mom came visiting, and I liked this guy a lot, never met him, never got his name, nothing like that, no details. He just showed up, says, here I am, I'm a Muslim imam, I'm not going to recite Surah Baqarah for you as a part of interfaith dialogue. And, I'm part of the supposedly the Christian corner, and he spoke some words, and that harmony I've been seeking for in the prayers, Christian prayers, was, I got it. And it was about 3 or 4 seconds before it was clearly clear in your own soul. Got it.
Without even understanding it?
No, I had no clue. No clue. But it was nice. And
where was he from?
No idea. I never met the guy. And it was great. He did such a wonderful rendition that I finally found a key to what was missing. Because I've been going to extra Sundays and going pretty regularly, trying to find that thing. And then I found it, Surah Baqarah. So alhamdulillah for that.
So that was the decisive moment?
That was the decisive moment I knew that Islam was that last final bit. See, I think it's perhaps, or maybe it's not, a non-traditional story, because I trusted angels and the unseen first before working to God, not the other way around. And then that gave me the real push, alhamdulillah, to do that, to really sort of, what is Islam, figure out my own, do it. And then I did about a research for a few months.
On your own?
On my own. And then just simply said shahada one time when I was very sure in my head. And since then, in April 2020, that's the end of the timeline. So I got to the point in the end. It's been an increasing experience. Islam is something you experience. It really is. Because there's so many indicators and so many lovely signs filled with love and compassion and wisdom.
So April 2022 was when you officially became Muslim?
2020.
2020, sorry.
Yes, sir.
April 2020.
Yeah.
That's when you officially converted. How did you do it? You went to, what, an Islamic center or something?
No, I just said shahada.
On your own?
On my own. Yeah.
Of course, having done your own studies for some time.
My own studies. And I continue to study every day.
And your family, what was their reaction? They must have known.
Yeah. As a new Muslim, and I think many or almost all of us who are not born Muslim, we have this feeling that we're caught between two worlds a bit. Your family who wants you to act a certain way, and to be honest with you, the natural born Muslims are like, who are you? Who is this white guy Muslim who still has named Conor? Why don't you something else? Yusuf or whatever. I said, no, I don't really have any desire to change the name. But my family, they accepted it. I mean, how I grew up, my sister is my greatest friend. And she's always had my back. And so she supports me through it. My mom supports me through it. There was a sort of apprehension, obviously, are you going to join the Taliban tomorrow? Something like that. No, really. I mean, this is what goes on in the minds because of how people are perceived.
So far, are you the only member of the family who converted?
Yes.
You're the only one.
Yes.
What about your friends? Did you have friends before that?
Yeah.
Has this impacted on your friendship with them?
No, I've made a lot of great new friends. Yeah, it's really increased my life. And it's actually opened a lot more doors. It's closed some doors, particularly in the world of finance, because when you're dealing with conventional things, derivatives, trading, research of bonds and so forth.
So it impacted on your work?
Absolutely.
It does?
Yeah. And then you have to find something else. So alhamdulillah, I'm in that process now where I have comfortably in position to finding new things, and right now I'm attending this global Muslim vacation, and it's just the amount of contacts I'm meeting. Sometimes you have this feeling of, particularly if you wake up for Fajr, that Allah plans your day. And it's like, it feels weird saying this, but sometimes Allah feels like the world's best secretary. It's like, I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and you have the chance encounter, at least one chance encounter, and so on. So it's working out. Go ahead.
Now, of course, these are all part of the challenges that one faces when such a change happens, such a transformation happens. Were they really tough or manageable?
Sorry, can you repeat
the
that?
Challenges?
The tough challenge on the heart was being ostracized a bit from the family. I have no story where they said, get out, we don't understand you, something like that. No, alhamdulillah, they try to understand, and they're always loving, especially when
You're still on good terms with them?
Oh, of course. I mean, my sister is best friend and supporting. I mean, we actually wanted to go to Istanbul together because she loves Turkish culture, and it's actually a city where, you have the orthodoxy and you have the Islam living close together. And yeah, she's been a great companion. Where the challenge really has been was the work. A couple of times faced discrimination for sure, big time. But you just have to find new pathways.
Now we're sitting here recording this in Istanbul. Are you visiting, or what are you doing in Istanbul?
We're visiting for 2 months. Yeah. And between...
Is this your first time?
Yeah. I love it. It's great. Because one of the main reasons was going to hear the adhan. And alhamdulillah, subhanallah, I get an Airbnb and my bedroom window is facing the minaret. So come 4:30, whoa, I'm up. I'm up.
And here in Turkey, they have the best adhan.
They do.
I mean,
they do.
The sound is brilliant.
They do. It's I had the pleasure of hearing the July 15th adhan, the special adhan you have to commemorate, and I was crying in my bed because it was quite something. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you didn't change your name. No. Many converts do change their names, or it's not really necessary. It's not a must. Have people at all raised this issue with you?
Once, but I simply just buffed it off, to be honest with you. In a very friendly manner, I said, I'm not interested in doing that. Yeah, I mean, they mentioned it was Sunnah, but for me, I have my own path. That same independence that led me to Islam is the same independence that guides me still. And for me, there's a lot of meaning in names. People don't realize this, but there's a ton of meaning in names, more than you know. Because once you give a name to something, you also call life to it.
Yeah.
Right? And for me, the name Conor still applies, because the name Conor really means, from an old Irish legend, he who loves wolves or dogs or hounds of some nature, from an Irish tale from a king way back when. And that still applies to me. Yeah.
Now, once you converted and probably you started having interactions with Muslims, were you in any way disappointed by certain Muslims or certain attitudes?
Look, I think we're all looking for happiness our own way. But we have to stay mindful of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. Oppression is worse than murder, right? Something like this. Why? Great question. Because murder is a killing once. Oppression kills multiple times as it ripples through. So you have to be careful with that. You have to be careful with wanting other people to follow your view just because. Now, it may be well-versed in the Quran and the Sunnah or very authentic hadith to separate them from weaker hadith or ones where the chains are big. Particularly if you have a ruling or something like this where it's based off a hadith only and it's kind of weak and maybe this guy added something or the context needs to be checked out. Or, and I'll say that again, the context needs to be checked out. So when you get very excited with approaching the Muslims with these things, I think focusing on the rules, there's a sort of not so polite pun, haram police. I won't really agree with that, but focusing on the rules alone without going to the spirit and the beauty of Islam is something that should be looked at, because the beauty calls you to it. In the same way as you mentioned, the adhan is beautiful. You have a tradition in Turkey to have those beautiful adhans. I heard one on July 15, also one in Kuzgunchuk. The imam there is extremely wow. That beauty, the same way we're getting in my origin story here in 2012, that calls to Islam, is what we should really focus upon. The rules can come in time, and also the right rules. And I think we'll find out that a lot of Islam is very relaxed. It's like the basics, stay away from zina, don't drink. It's obvious.
It's simple, isn't it?
It's simple, but you don't have to get into these finer details where you cause a little bit of confusion. People are like, get constricted. So to answer your question succinctly, there was a bit of disappointment in that rules hampering, the rules hammering, if you will. But beyond that, I've met far more Muslims who are simply happy to get to know you. And there isn't any sort of clubism, and I find that extremely beautiful, refreshing, and great. Yeah.
Now, you told me earlier that you started searching on your own initially. Now, after the conversion, you must have felt the need to study in depth, probably. How have you been doing this? Have you joined certain circles, or centers, or groups?
Okay. So I did join a masjid, Ashami, in Bahamas, and the imam there is extremely knowledgeable.
There is a Muslim community in the Bahamas, huh?
Small, but there is. And he...
Of Arab origin, or what origin? Or mixed?
I mean, it's mostly reverts, like myself, or Bahamian. They did have, I believe, an Arab imam come in, found it, but they had a lot of knowledge, and they were very seeking, so forth. And every khutbah was given without notes, because he knew the Quran, everything by heart, and the meaning and the extrapolation by heart. So that was a great help. And another brother from Bangladesh taught me how to read Arabic, and he's every day. And he was very, sometimes, you get a little bit lazy. And he was very hampered. Conor, we got to do it every day.
Now you read Arabic?
Yes.
But you don't understand it, do you?
Not so much, not so much. I read the Arabic, and I read it as I read the Quran, so I have some more work to do, but he did teach me Arabic, and that's great. And then on my own, I continue to study, I continue to meditate, and that unseen part still grows, and I learn more as it happens, and the more I do that, particularly through, let's say, writing or another activity that focuses you, the more it increases. And it's really all to serve a point that you're always guided. You're never alone. Even if you think you're all alone. Like Abraham alayhi salam was alone. You're never alone. And I think it's all to serve that point.
Now, Turkey is, this is your first visit to Turkey. Is it the first Muslim country you visit? Yeah. Or have you been to other Muslim countries?
Second. The first was Kazakhstan.
Which one?
Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan?
Yeah.
Oh, what took you there?
I had a friend there, great friend. Yeah. But it's more Russian in its sort of way. But technically it's a Muslim country. And so
historically, of course, it was a great place in terms of civilization and contribution to Islamic sciences.
Yeah.
But of course now it's within the Russian sphere of influence.
What I loved about Kazakhstan, and you have it here too in Turkey, is this great sense of hospitality. Because here I have this great friend of mine who knew me as a university student. We did a lot of stupid stuff, as you do. But here he is just saying, take me to the best restaurants. Everything's laid out. Everything's planned out. It's like, it's just me, man. And so that sense of hospitality and welcoming that is inherent, I believe, in Muslim countries, particularly to Muslim foreigners, was great. It's profound.
Did you make friendship with him after you converted, or you knew him before?
Before.
Now, you said as a result of your conversion, you had to change career.
Yes.
Leave finance.
Yes.
And head somewhere else. Where are you heading now?
So now I'm more of a freelancer. So I have existing relationships that I can work on. My passion really is writing and photography. So I've been able to convert some existing relationships I had without staying in the bank or the financial institution, and continue to support them from a writing marketing point of view, while I branch out and do more Muslim-oriented Islamic writing, so forth. But I avoid these things related to options and lending and so forth.
Now, I'm interested to know what sort of discussions take place between you and your close relatives since your conversion. Do they ask you about Islam, or what made you take that decision? Are they at all interested?
No.
They're not?
No. It's unfortunate, but everyone has their own way. I make dua for everyone, for my family, and to find their way to the truth, okay? And to find their way to Islam. But it's really about having that direct connection to God. When they ask, when they're going to ask, I'm ready to answer any questions, and I'll be very glad to. But it does make me sad sometimes. And frankly, I respect their decision, as they respect mine. And, I love them to death.
Really. Well, what really matters is to remain on good terms with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You must know this by now, that in Islam, no matter what, your parents maintain the same sacred position as far as you're concerned. Your close relatives, blood relatives, etc. You need to be good to them no matter what.
Actually, it's increased my, my compassion, my kindness towards them after converting, or reverting, if you will, because of that consciousness. Your family is there, always there, and it's actually improved my relationship with my parents. It's just generally improved. I can talk to my dad anytime now. I have a passion for photography, so it gets me this super Oberdofer camera bag. I'm like, wow, cool. Or my mother is always there, texting me all the time, saying, how you doing? How's Istanbul? And that Islam has had a part in helping my character improve. So I'm always kind to them, no matter what. And I think that's important to do. The same person who tells you, I don't agree with the rules, hammering, is the same person who says, be compassionate first. And I hope one day they understand, ask serious questions about God. But till then, I love them all the same.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Inshallah, maybe
Inshallah.
one day.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Brother Conor.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's really a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.